Afternoon, everyone. It's 12:04, and I'd like to call the meeting of the law enforcement meeting, Kankakee County, to order Wednesday, January 28th. And we're going to have roll call starting with, to my far left, with Ms. Ojeda.
Natalie Ojeda, Senator Joyce's office.
Jackie Haas, State Representative.
Jim Rose, State's Attorney's Office.
Bob Gessner, the coroner.
Sure. Oh, Elizabeth Johnson with the Kankakee County State's Attorney's Office.
It's in Kankakee County Sheriff's Office.
Al Swinford, Manteno Police Department.
Donnell Austin, Kankakee Police Department.
Don Barber, Bradley Police Department.
Jamise Claggett, NAACP.
Mark Hodge, Mayor of Village of Hopkins Park.
Rosemary Foster, County Board, District 4.
Steve Hunter, County Board, NAACP, Hispanic Partnership.
Lori Gabway, NAACP.
Jay Gessner, Undersheriff.
Theodis Pace, NAACP, Kankakee County.
Mike Downey, Kankakee County Sheriff.
And again, I'd just like to thank everyone. It's been a while since we've met, and a number of individuals reached out to me and said we have to get back on track, particularly with the number of things that are going on throughout America. And so I added, I should have had two additional items that added to the agenda. One, you have a public statement. And Deputy Chief, this came from talking to one or two of our city aldermen. So I researched and got with National yesterday after talking to those individuals and came up with this particular statement. Everyone should have signed in and also have a statement. And the other one was just the incident that happened on the 24th of December with the incident in the village of Bradley. And so we're going to talk about that. Also, I need some input from Mr. Basin. I'm glad you're here because I've talked with some of our members of the response team and Donna Sample. So what if, and just hold that thought, what if ICE was here and you've been doing the training for the response team? How would the response team, Chad, no, you and I have talked about that, not particularly about ICE, but the do's and don'ts, duties and responsibility of our response team. So how would they be involved if ICE was here like in there in Minnesota? So that's just a thought, and we can come back.
Yeah, I would just say that at this point in Illinois, we are not allowed to work with ICE, which is part of the problem that's going on in other places. So, you know, the answer to, and I'm sure Lieutenant Baston's probably going to have a better answer than me at this point regarding how we're working with ICE, but as law enforcement, we cannot.
Okay.
So, however, with that said, I would say that as law enforcement, we would still be out there to try and protect somebody from becoming a victim, whether it's ICE or somebody else.
So we have three of our main municipalities. I see the representative also just came in from the village of Bradley. We have Manteno, and then we have our deputy chief from the city of Kankakee. So those are just some of the thoughts that we need to talk about. And it's my understanding that Dr. Edwards would be attending this meeting, but our next response team meeting is Saturday, February 21st at KCC Law Enforcement Lab. So for those who attend, I think that would be a good time that we can go back and really see and maybe add on, because Sheriff, you, Basin, and Chad, when we initially initiate the response team training, And Deputy Chief Austin, you also was involved in that initial step. So maybe we might need to go and review some of those pieces. So we have all of the members who have been attending. Mason is not here, so I pretty much just gave you an update. They did meet, the response team did meet last month, and it was, again, about scheduling for training and just keeping abreast of our response team. The next one under discussion, I had talked with Dr. Calvin regarding the Law Enforcement Day. Chad, you know when that date is? KCC?
May something, 6th?
May 6th? Yeah, she and I talked last month, actually.
May 6th.
Okay,
May 6th for Law Enforcement Day.
KCC. So going down the topic of discussion centered around police reform, so we are well on our way beyond body cams, and so anyone want to just do an update on hiring, we want to definitely applaud the city of Kankakee. If I'm correct, Deputy Chief, Chief, we're there, right? I saw that from a statement from the mayor, so we're good. Chief Barbara? Oh, wow. Mantino? We good? Oh, okay, so those are good things. All right. Oh, so is that, so you just think about it. About a year or so ago, we was talking about raising our own, going 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grades and see can we recruit from there and have, so is that because we have more individuals at either KCC or ONU, or we have just other people coming in from the area?
I think the relationship between KCC and law enforcement helps. I also think, and I think the chiefs would agree, that a lot of the new police officers are coming from the jail, which helps too.
Okay.
And we're full staff there too.
Okay. So where are we on training? Everybody, we good?
Our staff has met all their mandates, and Lieutenant Belcher is in charge of our training, and I know that the representative from ILETSP, which is the training board, is very complimentary of this area for everybody, every department being on top of their training.
Okay. Is there any update, and Stevie, Vice President, this is one of the items that comes from our State Criminal Justice Chair, Bob Moore, who's a former, what did Bob do? U.S. Marshal. And so he is the State Criminal Justice Chair. And so he's been doing a lot of research dealing with the consent to search and traffic stops. So are we faced with any of those? Are we facing any alarming, people stopping at traffic stops? I mean, we're stopping people without, consent to search and things of that nature, I'm just saying. So he's just been, I know, doing some things with the Secretary of State and some other municipalities across the state.
Body cameras cover a lot of that.
Okay.
We have more of a problem with people not stopping.
Is that right? So in talking with our state's attorney last month, and with our state rep in attendance, so you want to go with that, our conversation? Where are we with Safety Act updates? And I saw that, our legislators supposed to be coming back to review that. So what's your take? I know State Representative Haas have some bills, and you and I talked about how can the state NAACP be involved in that.
Happy to.
Yeah.
I have about, I want to say, 7 or 8 bills that are related to public safety that I have filed, that have been filed for probably the past 2 to 3 years, and I have and will continue to file those. Many were written in collaboration with both the sheriff and state's attorney and other law enforcement that are in this room, some not in this room, but are within the district and within the county. I can go through the list of what some of these are related to. Most of them, though, are not new. One's related to aggravated domestic battery. We've got the new classification of a habitual misdemeanor. Those were specifically written after the fatal police shooting that we had several years ago. Obstructing justice if a body camera is stolen, that one was as well. No probation for sex offenders. We've got a hate crime bill. Xylazine we'll be bringing back again, that we've worked very closely with the coroner and his team. Aggravated fleeing, a peace officer. I think that's one that Chief Kidwell had brought to me a year or more ago. We're continuing to work on that one. We have a couple new ones that were brought to us this year, some FOIA-related bills. I know the Sheriff's Association is working on one that's pretty similar to that. And those are the primary ones that are public safety related, but all of those were drafted in collaboration with folks in this room. So I am going to continue to push those forward, try to get collaboration from not just folks on my side of the aisle as well. So that's where those are. And I know Jim talked with State's Attorneys Association about several of those bills, most of which they support. So you can speak to that.
Could I ask you something, Jackie?
For sure.
You know, with respect to, and I've talked to Senator Joyce and I've talked to you, and you guys have been very responsible in terms of your comments. You know, if I had a magic wand, you know, the Safety Act would just deal with Cook County as opposed to the impact it has on the other counties, other 101. Is there a possibility, since most of that stuff deals with crime and up in Cook County, is there a possibility that you could get some co-sponsors with you in terms of Black and Hispanic caucus on your bills? Because, you know, we hear oftentimes from the state's attorney about adding additional charges for retention and more power vested with the judges. We've heard that time and time again from you, Senator Joyce, and our state's attorney. Do you think that can happen?
I think anything can happen. So yeah, I think that we probably are in a position now that is better than what we've been before. I had a bill that I didn't mention, which actually the sheriff brought to me about reentry programming and bringing folks back to our communities and having the Department of Correction pay for folks when they come back to their local community to get them integrated into reentry programming. And Representative Rita Mayfield was one of my chief co's on that. It was Department of Corrections that did not agree with that, so they were the main opposition, and that's why that bill didn't move. But you know, I'm certainly open to having discussions with anyone that will support these bills, for sure.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, nothing has improved with regard to the Safety Act. Representative Haas, Senator Joyce, many others have been working very hard to get Springfield to see the light on some of these issues, and They just refuse to take any action. We just got a conviction yesterday for an aggravated assault with a firearm. A man was in a road rage incident. He was, I think, 41. The victim was, I believe, 20. He pulled up next to her after following her for a good distance, flashing his lights, honking his horn, pulled up next to her, exited his vehicle with a firearm. That's an ag assault. In Illinois, that's a Class A misdemeanor. As long as you don't pull the trigger and shoot them. It's Class A misdemeanor. And under the Safety Act, aggravated assault with a firearm, literally pointing a gun at someone and threatening to shoot them, is a non-detainable offense. So he couldn't be detained, and because it's a Class A, he's probably not going to see a single day in jail or in prison. And all it takes is one more step, pull that trigger, and suddenly we're at a Class X felony, and someone's life has been changed forever. But that individual could be arrested by law enforcement and is going to be released from the jail within 48 hours. Time and time again, Representative Haas, Senator Joyce have tried to shift these crimes into the detainable list. That doesn't mean you're automatically detained. It means then the judge at least has discretion to detain these individuals, and they kill your bills in Rules Committee. I don't know, Senator Joyce's go to assignments or assignments committee, and they sit there because the Democrats in Springfield are not willing to consider any changes to the Safety Act that holds criminals accountable. Failing to register as a sex offender, still a non-detainable offense. You want to have a registry so we know where they're at, but when they don't register, they can continue to mill around the community because they're not able to be detained. Selling fentanyl, right? We know nationally overdose deaths are one of the leading causes among many age groups of death. But in Illinois, you can sell fentanyl and we can't detain you. It's so frustrating. If you are living with someone just as roommates, not in a domestic relationship, just as roommates, if you push that roommate, you can be detained under the Safety Act because roommates are part of the domestic battery law. If you push your roommate, you can be detained. If you point a gun at him and threaten to shoot him, you can't be detained. That's absurd. It seems like common sense, but that just does not prevail with the Democrats who hold the votes and are refusing to let any of these laws go through. And we're dealing with it on a very real level here in Kankakee County because we aggravated fleeing. They flee from the police. Some people might not think that's a big deal, but when they're doing it at excessive speeds, and part of aggravated fleeing is you're running the stoplights, you're running stop signs, you're traveling at high speeds. You're putting the officer's life at risk and everybody else that is on the sidewalks or the street in the community, their lives at risk. Springfield doesn't care. The Democrats in Springfield don't care. It is so frustrating. And then you talk about common sense legislation. We had an incident a few years ago. I believe it occurred in Bradley, and the individual was captured in Manteno. White male pulls up next to a vehicle who he perceives that they cut him off. African-American family. A mother, a father, I think a 11 or 12-year-old daughter, and a newborn in the back seat. He pulls up next to them, pulls a gun, and points it at them. There are 2 kids in the car. That individual takes off fleeing. Manteno police capture him in Manteno. Law enforcement is able to recover not only the firearm, but also a bulletproof vest he had. And he admits to the police he did that, but he says his reasoning was because I thought they were protesters. Okay? So now you have pulled a gun and pointed it at a child based on their race. That is a hate crime in Illinois. It's Class 4 felony, the lowest level felony that exists on the books, because that's how the law classifies it from Springfield. Class 4 felony, like a Class 3 felony, are really non-prisonable. The law says that Class 3 and 4 felons are to be given probation unless the state can overcome certain hurdles. So you have taken a hate crime, a crime that is committed only because of the person's color, their skin, race, religion, nationality, and you've made it the lowest level offense, even when it involves a firearm. I brought that case to Representative Haas' attention in 2000, I believe in 22. The very next session, she proposed a bill that says if you commit a hate crime against a child, it's a class 1. If you commit a hate crime with a firearm, it's a class 1. And if you commit a hate crime against a child with a firearm, it's a class X. So now you got some real teeth in this law. That man got more time in prison for having body armor than he did for pulling a gun on a family because of their race. So Representative Haas proposed that bill in 22, 23, 24, 25. Every time, the Democrats kill it in the Rules Committee. They won't even allow it to get a vote to put people on the record where they're at. That incident, I know it's a little bit further down on the agenda. The incident that just happened in Bradley, we charged a hate crime in that incident because the individual battered that victim or that survivor simply because of her race. He admitted to saying the vile words that she said he said at the bar. We charge a hate crime. Again, still only a class 4. But because he pushed her in the bar, that's a class 3. That's a higher level felony in Illinois because he committed a battery in a public establishment. So you get more consequences for pushing someone in a bar than you do pushing them because you hate them because of the color of their skin. And when legislators, like Representative Haas has, try to correct that, Democrats in Springfield, they just don't want to hear it. They don't want to entertain it. It is the Safety Act is the elephant in the room, but there's a whole lot of other bad animals that are just killing public safety in Illinois, and it's so frustrating. We deal with it on a real level. Then the police hear about it when the community gets pissed at them because they don't think that they're being punished harshly enough. My office hears about it. The judges hear about it for not detaining people, and Springfield has taken it totally out of our control. So my answer is no, it has not gotten better. And it's frustrating as hell.
State's Attorney General, I have a question. Who classified these crimes for them to fall underneath these various categories?
Yep. Governor Pritzker, Senator L.G. Sims,
Justin Slaughter.
Justin Slaughter, Robert Peters, Senator Peters, who's running for Congress for our district now. And I mean, I guess I can get you the vote tallies. Senator Joyce did not vote for it. Representative Haas did not vote for it. All of our other officials from Springfield that represent even corners of this community, like Nick Smith, LG, I think I said LG Sims, they all voted for it. And those legislators decided that. And they did it at 3 a.m. under cover of darkness when nobody was watching, didn't give the bill 3 readings like they're supposed to. They proposed a bill, a 732-page bill, and people had about, an hour or 2, maybe, if that, to read it and vote on it. So they just shoved it through.
Do you have a list of said crimes and how they're categorized?
Yep, so what they do is they list the crimes for which someone can be detained, and anything not on the list is non-detainable.
Can we get that list?
I mean, I'll send you the legislation. We have a summary of it, but only the things on the list are detainable offenses. So if it's not on there, they didn't want to list the things people can't be detained for, right? Because that's not a good look for them when people realize, wow, you can't be detained for failing to register as a sex offender. You can't be detained for threatening to kill someone with a firearm. They don't want that list out there. But yeah, I'll get that to Mr. Pace, and then he can circulate it to everyone.
And regardless of even the ones that are on that list, the state's attorney still has to file a petition to detain and then prove why he should be detained, he or she should be detained.
Yeah. And you know what's really absurd? Right after they approved the Safety Act, which I think was in 2021, 21. Right after that, Senator L.G. Sims was in Springfield. There was a road rage incident. The other driver pulled a gun on him. That guy got arrested, went to court in Sangamon County, and He was given a $5,000 bond, so he would have to post $500 to get out. And you can read the newspaper articles online. The senator was outraged that the guy only had to post $500 to get out of custody. But the bill he had just voted for weeks before allows that person out of custody without any dollars. And I'm not saying you should have cash bond, but allows him to walk right out of the jail with no skin in the game at all. So it's just the absurdity of it. I don't even think they know what they voted for, and now they dug their heels in so hard, they're not even willing to fix the most obvious, of mistakes. And unfortunately, they're not paying for it. They've got security and everybody else. It's all of us. It's your law enforcement and everybody in the community that's paying the price for this awful law. It's worse than anything California could have probably even come up with, which is pretty bad.
So that's a good segue into December 24th. And with that, my conversation with Mr. Bradley bar incident, my conversation stemmed from maybe a few days after the incident, but with the conversation from Lieutenant Mason and our state's attorney. And I can turn it over to Chief Barber, but again, it's about Facebook. It's about individuals don't have the necessary facts. I just posted a statement on Facebook on behalf of the NAACP because there was so much misinformation out there. And Lord, that was about the worst thing I ever done in the last 10 years, man. I had to call my friend here. I said, Chad, man, I'm in trouble here. But they don't want facts,
No, they do not want facts.
And so with that, but I'll turn it over to you, Chief Barber. But again, I initiated our little research information, and then it came about how would the response team would have initiated any viewing of the videos and things of that nature. But
Jim, is that still pending?
It is pending. So really the only,
pending.
it's, the case is pending.
Oh, okay.
The indictments, they were indicted. The case is still pending. So from my office, I really, other than what's already been made public, which are the charges, their identities, and the facts that are in the in information in the bill of indictment, I really can't comment beyond that. I would just say I think I worked primarily with Detective Snyder on that case. I think he did a phenomenal job, chased down every lead, was able to identify the individuals, even though some others involved in the incident on the the offender side were not helpful. He was able to identify everyone, obtain all the evidence, and just really worked it hard. And I know there's other people in the department that worked that case in the Detective Bureau and Patrol that responded, but Detective Snyder just did an amazing job getting us everything we needed to go forward with it.
No, I will just say that, it's an unfortunate incident, and like Jim said, it is pending. I thought we did what we could do with the case. We have served the owners of the bar with a hearing notice. And I think that's actually scheduled for tomorrow. I don't know if it's going tomorrow or not, but that's the tentative schedule for it. Unfortunately, these things happen in bars when people drink, and I actually know the victim for many years through some sports stuff with some of my kids. She's frequent there a lot. She's never had any issues. In general, we hardly have any issues at that establishment through the years, but unfortunately this happened, and hopefully it'll be dealt with. But like Jim said, we do our job, and it's kind of cripples us with some of the laws, the way things are spent out there. So we'll wait and see what happens with it.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. And from talking to officials in Bradley, now correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that the manager was fired, right?
To my knowledge.
Yeah. So, and it's my understanding too that the owners are, they're interracial couple as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and And I'm glad to hear that that hearing's been set up and appropriate action will be taken. Because from what I gather from the Bradley officials, they've done everything they were supposed to do. And not only the state's attorney with the charges, I was just really pleased with that.
County Board Chairman, member, Mr. Hunter, I normally listen to our state's attorney, but this particular day, he and I went back and forth, and so I think what we, Jim, about I'm 1 in 40,000 agreeing with you, because he said I probably wouldn't post anything, but it was the number of
no
people.
winner.
Yeah, and I just posted, and Hunter and you and I just talked last week. So man, that was the worst thing I ever. I mean, and I don't normally make those kind of mistakes, but oh man, it was about 10 days. I was just totally under attack, and they, misinformation, emotion get caught up in that, and then we have to be truthful. What's going on in America? What's going on in Minnesota? So all of that, but and I know Jamise responded a few times. It's just that some of our, what's the word I want to? Some of the people that don't understand what we do don't want to know what we do, and it's best to just put things. And it's a way of I can get back at Chad by making my comments on Facebook, pretty much.
But unfortunately, that's social media, and the undersheriff was right when he said, welcome to law enforcement. The Village of Bradley did what they should have done. State's attorney did what he should have done. But for some reason, that's never enough. So,
But you got to
that's
take a
just
look at the
social
source, too. You remember Chief Kidwell, the 3 homicides over by St. Mary's. And I'm going to say this, but I probably shouldn't say it in mixed company. But, sometimes you got a lot of shit stirrers as well, too, who want to exacerbate the situation. The person that you talking about does it all the time. It was one of the main culprits, and if we're not for the response team over at St. Mary's, this shit could have really blown up.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same issue that's over on Maple Street. December 23? Yeah, 31st, right? Yeah. Nobody didn't see anything.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm an avid Facebook person. So when I initially saw it, I was surprised, didn't know what was going on. And as I'm strumming through to check this source and that source, I saw Jim's source, and that was correct. I read the newspaper. We have so many people in this county, who do not read the newspaper. I think the newspaper did a good job. And I think overall, everybody did a good job, the police. And after information started to roll out, I think people took a pause and said, oh, okay. And so I was thoroughly satisfied with what Jim had did and what the police had did as well.
And really, when the state's attorney first posts, it just dispelled everything. It's like, oh, wow. So.
I totally understand why people are emotional about it and they're upset and you want something done right away. And we have something in our office that says, you may want it done fast, we want it done right. And some things take a while. That investigation was still ongoing. Detective Snyder was still working to identify people, still working to get interviews. And thank God he took the time, because he could have just sent it all up to us and said, that's it. And we wouldn't have been able to go forward as we did. But he took the time to be diligent about it, and then got it to us, and we needed some additional records. I think it was medical records. He went and chased those down for us, and then you're able to start, looking at the whole picture and make the right decisions. Sometimes that information comes in fast. Sometimes it takes a while. You hope that the community gives law enforcement, us, you, some grace, knowing that it's being dealt with. You hope they have that confidence in us, but not everybody does. So.
But it's also those outside forces that's not here and who do not seek to have information. They want, and again, Kankakee High School, Channel 257, they want to see Channel 7, Channel 5. Then they want to get into cameras and things like that, which they don't realize of. And I don't think no one in here condone a hate crime, but it also impact our community in a negative way. And that's why we have to have, the facts when incidents of such happen, And Jim, you remember when, can we get 2579 down here on some of the positive things that we do?
Don't bring that up.
So
You remember that, I remember that.
yeah.
The other issue to remember that people, when they comment on social media and they want things done now, is they watch television and they see these crime shows that last an hour, and they think everything gets solved in the first hour. And it just doesn't happen. It's just not reality. But people watch these shows and they think, well, they do it on TV. Why can't we do it here and get this done in an hour? So credit to Jim and the Village of Bradley again for the way they handled everything.
Thank you. So it's not on the agenda, but you have, everybody should have a copy of the public statement. So Alderman Cobb and Alderman Barron, Dave and I with a conversation, and as I stated earlier, well, I missed one item, but we've actually gave you that date. The response team meeting on Saturday, the 21st at KCC Law Enforcement Lab. Item E, Saturday, February 21st. I think it's at 10 noon, KCC Law Enforcement Lab. But immigration, we'll say that the president, it was his main piece that he ran on. And so in talking with the city aldermen, Chief Kidwell and Deputy Chief, they asked what would happen if Minneapolis was here. How would we respond? So we can start just a quick dialogue. And then Donna Semple asked, how would the response team be involved in that? And that's what I'm coming back to you, Baston. Sheriff. Then we'll go to Chief Barber and Kidwell and around the room. We have about 10 minutes. So.
Go ahead. You want me to go? All right.
But I also want you to read the statement here.
I read it.
Yeah.
I think that to throw a blanket over everything, first of all, like any other incident, is wrong. As most of the people in this room know, we worked with ICE for a number of years, from 2016 till, once again, the people in Springfield decided that Kankakee County could not house for ICE, and they have so far, Governor Pritzker has cost us about $26 million in housing for ICE. That's neither here nor there at this point, based on this public statement. The issue with ICE, and I've said this 100 times, Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a federal law enforcement agency, much like the FBI, much like the U.S. Marshal, much like the DEA. I don't get into what the president ran on or whatever else. I get into how we keep our community safe. And the fact that we blanket this by saying we shouldn't do anything with anybody who's here illegally, I think is wrong. I think that we need to look at the criminals, and it's well documented, regardless of what cable news channel you watch. There are illegal immigrants who are killing people, who are raping people, who are sexually, who are hurting people with heinous crimes. And according to our state and other states, local law enforcement can't do anything with them. We can't call ICE and tell them where they're at. We want the bad people out here. Even our governor, who I don't agree with on probably 99.9% of what he says. Even the governor at one point said, I want the murderers and the rapists out of our country. I agree with him. You can put it on record. But that's gone by the wayside. Now it's, oh, we can't do anything with anybody. They should all have, we have people in Illinois, just for those who don't know. In the state of Illinois right now, we have those who are here in our country illegally who are in the Illinois Department of Corrections. Now, I know that most in here know, and law enforcement know, that if you're in the Illinois Department of Corrections, you've been convicted of a felony. You don't go to the Department of Corrections if you've committed a misdemeanor in Illinois. When those individuals go to the Illinois Department of Corrections, when we were housing for ICE at the time, those individuals would come back to our jail. They would then go through the deportation process. That was pre-first Trump term, for those that want to blame our current president. The governor then, when we passed the law that says we can't house, we can't communicate, we can't do anything, all of a sudden that went away. So now, convicted felon getting out of prison who has an ICE detainer, we don't know it, they don't tell ICE. ICE has to kind of guess as to where this person's getting released from and try to get them as they come out of prison to get, as our governor said, these convicted felons out of our state. The problem with that is he doesn't allow ICE to be notified when these convicted felons are getting out of prison. And now they've gone a step further. Our Illinois Department of Corrections, and Jackie, you may not know this, the Illinois Department of Corrections is now moving these people the week before they're getting released so that ICE can't find them. So, I mean, it's an emotional issue for everybody. Everybody has their opinion on illegal immigration. We all know that it's a congressional issue, that Congress has to come up with something legitimate, just what the bottom of this thing says. The NAACP will continue advocating for fair and just immigration policies rooted in compassion, accountability, and respect for civil and human rights. I don't disagree with that, but when our own governor says, oh, we want all the bad people out, but when they get out, we're going to move them so you don't know where we're moving them to so they can still get out and come back to our communities, which side of the mouth are you talking out of? So, again, it's frustrating on our end because from a law enforcement perspective, because we can't help ICE. We get somebody in our custody here who's got an ICE detainer, we can't notify ICE. Last year, I want to say we had about 40 people arrested in our jail who had ICE detainers. We could notify ICE. And of course, without even going back to the Safety Act, it makes it harder because if they're non-detainable, they get out the next day anyway. We can't call ICE and tell them to come and get them. So I think it's got to be more than just a one-sided, everybody has, rights when people are talking about all these issues of, we want the bad guys out. We want the bad guys out too. This isn't about the mom and pop store who's been here for 20 years. I don't think anybody in Illinois would say, let's go after them and get them out of our country. This is about felons, pure and simple. And I'll shut up now.
Chief Barber? He was. He went. He took. He took 8 minutes and 30 seconds of the 10 minutes. Oh, I thought.
And again. No, I agree with the sheriff. I don't know what the magic wand is to fix the immigration issue. I like to think we could get better results if we could if all of us help everybody win. I know if I need help, I can call the sheriff, I can call Chief Kidwell, et cetera, and I got people there. As far as a response, As Andy will tell you, the situation is going to dictate the tactics we use, but we have handled some pretty big protests in the last couple of years. I thought we did a pretty good job. I think the difference between us and Minnesota is we know most of the players here, some personally, to where maybe we can work it out or de-escalate it a lot faster. But that doesn't mean that a situation can go south pretty quick, no matter if you know them or not, depending on what the button was that was pushed. So I think we still work together, especially with this group. We've got an advantage on the other towns, so that's the best I could tell you.
Kankakee?
Sure. I'll echo what the Sheriff and Chief Barber said as well. I've worked with federal, state, local agencies more than half my career, actually, and communication is everything. And I think that's the problem right now when the local, state, and federal aren't communicating. This is the problems you get. If we have a problem in our area, most of our community trusts us a lot, and I think we would be the ones that they would look to guide us through it. And if you got federal agents in here that they don't know without communicating with us, it makes it difficult. So I think we should be involved. I think the sheriff hit the nail on the head. If they're incarcerated, why wouldn't we just turn them over to ICE or federal agencies? Why would you release them into the community and then expect ICE to go out there and try to find them when you had them right in custody? So there's the lack of communication. If the state and local and federal are working together, I don't think we'd be entertaining the problems that we are in Minnesota. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I think we need to work together, communicate, and I don't think anybody's going after, our population that's working and doing the right thing. They're here to pick up the rapists, the murderers, the sex offenders, and the bad criminals that are out here. So that's what I have.
Chief Swinford?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. I mean, I think the immigration issue is just a symbol of the political situation the country's in. I'm sure many people on both sides have said the previous administration didn't do enough on immigration. That's why we're in the situation we're in. And now we have people on both sides saying we're doing too much. Immigration didn't start with either one of those administrations. We've been complaining about it for generations, going back to the 60s and 70s. So until we can work together and compromise, I think we're going to keep running into these problems, and hopefully maybe this will be the defining moment that we decide that it's not going to fix itself until we work together. So we'll see what happens.
Attorney Rowe.
My hope is that the local branch of the NAACP and you as president of the statewide NAACP can be vocal supporters of Representative Haas' bill on the hate crime legislation to increase those consequences. I think that would help tremendously, at least getting it maybe out of the committee and get a vote on it. Let's see where people in Springfield stand on that issue and some of these other issues.
Any other comments from anyone else? With answer to State's Attorney Rowe, and Mr. Hunt is aware, the state NAACP, we're actually in the process of hiring a lobbyist, and I term an advocate, to that we can have some eyes and ears and a voice in Springfield. So that's one piece. And the other one, across the state, we're looking at to host a number of respective town hall meetings just for individual citizens of knowing their rights. So we have a relationship with the ACLU. I know they're doing a number of sessions on Know Your Rights. And what I mean by that is when we used to have, what was it, the 411 on the 50, what to do if the police officer stopped you or if they came to your home, those kind of things. And so we just have a number of citizens today just don't know their rights. And so that's the piece. But we have 7 minutes. But I do want to share this. There's 2 meetings that I attend in this county that I can tell you that does not exist as I travel the state. One, this is this meeting, and we've had other branches to come to attend this meeting, and the other one is our Economic Alliance meeting. So in Galesburg, Springfield, Alexander Pulaski County, Vermilion County, I can just, those are the different areas that I travel. This is not happening. Or the president have a relationship with the sheriff or the state's attorney or the respective police chief throughout the respective counties or jurisdictions. So sometimes we think that what we're doing here is null and void, or we're not doing anything. However, we are really above some other areas that that exist here in our 102 counties. So our next meeting is March, is that right, Under Sheriff? Is that a good date, the 25th? That's not when you guys meet, is the 4th? Is that the 4th? 25th. Okay, so our next meeting is the 25th at 12 noon. And I think we just need to continue to do what we're doing with our response team. That next meeting, again, is Saturday, February 21st, KCC Law Enforcement Lab. And I don't know, Sheriff, if we continue to need our members of the response team need to be trained. So in my conversation with Donna Sample, she was saying, how would we possibly do anything if they were in Minneapolis? I'm just saying, if the response team had to, deal with an incident as such in Minneapolis. So that was just a question she posed.
My personal opinion is like, when you look at this public statement, this is kind of something that incites people to be against ICE, be against ICE, be against ICE. I think the NAACP, if it was in this area, we would work with our response team to try, our message would be to try to calm the waters, to get communication out there. Instead of just, hey, if you see ICE, start blowing whistles, getting in the face. Because I think, we see a lot of social media interaction, but a lot of those people that they're picking up are criminals that have done heinous crimes. And I think everybody would agree they want those people out the streets. But I think the communication's the biggest key for that response team at that time would be, instead of insinuating a statement, like defund ICE, do all that stuff, it'd be more or less, I think we.
Well, that's, but I mean, I have to come back. That is what our lawmakers are saying. Also, to defund ICE, and we have to say what have been seen on television in America, when basically you see someone get shot 10 times, that's hard to say. I want ICE, hell, the mayor in Minneapolis, get the hell out. And so that, if you had 10 people and you line them up, that's the same thing they would be saying. That ICE is not a common or a word that people want to address in a light way,
Well,
So
I can tell you
hear
that this
Yeah.
department has received calls from citizens in Hopkins Park that want ICE out there because they're having a problem out there.
Yeah.
So they're actually requesting ICE to come out there. Because they've called here and said, how do we do that? And we said, well, you got to call the ICE.
But I can safe to say that the village of Mantino, St. Anne, Bourbonnais, the sheriff department, I don't think that we would have anyone on any of our municipalities that would be out grabbing someone and actually start shooting them the way it has been perceived and videotape, not videotape, but seen on national media. So that's what I can safe to say here. But I can't say in Minneapolis, so this is from a national perspective.
Right. Communication's key in
Yeah.
those situations, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's like anything else, especially when you're talking on a national level, there's one side that wants to abolish ICE and another side that doesn't.
Right.
I mean, so it just depends on what, I don't think there's a abolish ICE or don't abolish ICE. I think it's more of a work together to figure something out.
And that's what I know we got a couple of hands, but that was that conversation that Alderman Barron and I talked about yesterday. When we can collaborate, how would the NAACP and our local law enforcement here if ICE came here. So we were trying to come up with how would we address it?
I think the other question, I think you have to ask the question, not so much abolish ICE or don't abolish ICE. I think the question has to become, do you want convicted felons, murderers, rapists out of the country?
But
Then you can't abolish ICE.
you know what, don't share.
We also have to take into account that we got to hold our agencies accountable and our personnel accountable, whether it's state, federal, or local. So in that particular incident, what happened in Minneapolis, you know, from my perspective, what I viewed on video, those officers were in the wrong with the issues of the execution of deadly force. And I think that as law enforcement representatives, we have to also acknowledge when we do wrong. Because when our officers do wrong, just like in the Sonia Massey incident, many of our officers have said, hey, that was totally inappropriate. That was the wrong execution of deadly force. And I think that even though we sit on different sides of the aisle, we have to acknowledge when our personnel do wrong things.
And I don't disagree with you, Donnell, except the body camera footage in Sonia Massey was pretty clear. The videos you're seeing on social media, are they AI? Are they real? We don't know. So until we have the facts, until we know exactly what happened, I don't think, as a law enforcement administrator, I get where you're coming from, and I think initially when you first look at it, you think, oh, law enforcement's wrong in this. But let it play out. Let's see what really happened, because I think the videos, like I said, the Sonia Massey videos, the body cam footage, it's clear as day. Social media, AI, there's all kinds of things going on social media that we have no idea what's factual and what's not.
I think
To repeal the Trust Act in Illinois. And there,
repeal.
the Trust Act, the Illinois Trust Act, there has to be cooperation between all of the public safety entities. And there is legislation to repeal the Trust Act, which, like much of the legislation that Jim mentioned earlier, gets caught in rules, and it doesn't get released from rules. So I would ask for support of House Bill 1317, which is the
1317.
repeal the Illinois Trust Act bill. It's got a number of sponsors in the House, unfortunately all on our side of the aisle. And I would anticipate that it's unfortunately probably going to get stuck in rules, but please support that so that our law enforcement entities can work together to make this right.
Mr. Jones, Alderman Jones? I'm sorry.
Two things that have kind of come up. Number one, be very, very careful of what you see on social media.
Oh, yeah.
I have non-law enforcement friends that have sent me videos from the Minnesota stuff going on that has obviously been doctored. I mean, people are walking away and shooting into the ground as they're walking away, and I'm looking at it laughing, saying, why are you sending this to me as a joke, or you think it's real? They think it's real. I mean, it's obviously doctored. Now, that's coming from a professional, experienced viewpoint of that or eyes of that. So what other people see, and then, you know, the Bradley incident of where it goes from there just based off of stuff that's seen online. In our crisis response team training, I tell a story of when Marlene and Tyler were shot on how a name got out just through the power of social media that had absolutely nothing to do with anything. And all of a sudden, that person was a cop killer. And he was literally just a resident of a hotel room just 2 doors down from that incident.
Yeah.
So we have to be very, very careful of just because we see it on social media does not mean that it's necessarily true. And then just to go a little further on the crisis response team, if something were to occur in this area that we're going to call upon them, I would never ask them go to a active scene. That's not what their duty is. They're never going to calm anybody down at an active scene. What I would ask is for them to come together, whether we do it at the USC or we do it at another business, and then we get respected leaders from the agencies of what is going on, and we can just talk and say, here's our perspective on it, here's what we were doing, here's what we were trying to do, here's our ultimate goal in this. And then the response team is able to reach out to their respective communities and say, hey, we have talking to the leaders, and this is exactly what they were trying to do. I think then you would only see some of the professional agitators that are out there would really be the ones that we'd kind of be able to pinpoint and say they're out the ones causing problems, not just the general community that is just trying to have a voice that may be listening to those professional agitators and not their community leaders.
Alderman Jones.
Thank you so much. One thing I got to say, just two things that with the Bradley incident, one thing I liked about the whole thing, it did not paint the victim as the problem, and that's a big deal. When everybody sees, because sometimes it come up, what did she do wrong? And what kudos to Bradley and our state's attorney, and that goes a long ways in the community because at least some things are just common sense. But the problem comes up when, if whether it be law enforcement or whatever, well, she had to do something wrong, like an abuse victim. What did she say to the guy? The guy just jumped on her, and what did she say to the guy? That's where the problem come in. But that was a tremendous response, and I really hadn't heard nothing about it all the way up to January. And also, just one more thing, I don't know, I might have been late coming in, the Rifle Act. That was something that was brought to us the other night when we had a meeting in the 7th Ward, and I had never even heard of it. And I thought state's attorney, we looking at each other. He said he didn't hear of the Rifle Act. And the other night we had that in the yeah, they were going after the gun manufacturers. Something, had never heard of it, and I would just want to get Sheriff, how you feel about that. You're my sheriff, so
I'll defer to our firearms guy, Lieutenant Paston.
That's a good one.
I'm unaware of the act. I have not heard of it nor read of it, so I don't know.
One of the lawmakers,
I don't know what's behind it.
She may have heard of it. I don't know. Representative Hawes.
Yeah, so it's a Kevin Ollicall bill. It was filed in March. I'm pulling up our analysis of it now. It's the Responsibility and Firearm Legislation Agency. That's what RIFLE stands for. It would be in the executive branch as an independent agency under the supervision and direction of a board of directors. It takes the oversight away from Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, puts it under this board, sorry, I'm just glancing through our analysis, which is 9 pages long. Effective date would be January 1 of 2028. A licensed dealer, private seller, sponsor of a firearm trade show, or organizer of a firearm trade show may not sell, distribute, sponsor, or organize to effectuate the selling of firearms in the state from a manufacturer who does not have a license issued by the agency under this act, makes changes.
And let me guess, the governor appoints the board.
Yeah, Jim can talk a little bit more about it. We were actually going to meet this afternoon to chat with it a little bit more with our staff attorney, but he has a little bit more info on it.
I got to talk with Senator Joyce about it, and what the bill effectively does is if a firearm manufacturer wants to sell guns in the state of Illinois, they have to pay a fee, a licensing fee.
Oh, wow.
And then if their gun is recovered at the scene of a crime or used in any criminal offense, they're assessed basically a fine per incident. And that would create a fund. It would create a fund that should, the idea, the way it was pitched to us, is that state taxpayers, right now, we're all paying, right, about $800 million a year for gun violence in Illinois.
Wow, really?
And these funds would be collected to offset that. But then I went back and actually read the bill. And those funds are not used to offset the increased medical costs, Medicare, Medicaid. Those funds would go into a fund that would be distributed into communities to do violence prevention on a competitive basis, which means grants, which means politics, which means everybody outside of the city of Chicago probably doesn't get a nickel. And then and it has no enhanced penalties for the people that actually use the gun in the crime. So they don't want to punish the people that use the gun, they want to punish the people that made the gun. So, yeah, it shifts, to a certain extent, it shifts liability away from the violent offender onto the manufacturer. Yeah, I don't know, that,
We could go on and on and on, but as you take a look at, this venue here, it's amazing how it fosters open and candid dialogue. Where in the state of Illinois do you have all these entities who are in this room here discussing stuff openly and candidly and agreeing on subject matters and taking positive initiatives that quell a lot of the crime? I would disagree with you in terms of them being on the crime scene. I remember, I'm sounding redundant, back in whenever it was, the 3 homicides over by St. Mary's, the hottest day of the year.
Oh, yeah.
In June, it was hotter than Dragon's Breath. And we, meaning the response team, was called by, you called me, because I was speaking over at the courthouse thing. And then the mayor called, and all of us joined there, and we quelled some of that stuff. And that person who's been trying to screw you, he was there acting stupid and crazy and all that stuff. I think he played a substantial role in quelling that situation.
A smaller, I think probably, my guess is Lieutenant Basin was referring to a larger crowd, yeah. So, I think he's in agreement with what happened that day, and I think it was good and beneficial, but I think we're talking more on a large scale.
Yeah.
Response team side, so Immigration Project has a response team, like a crisis response team specifically for immigration and the ICE issues that have been coming up. And as Hispanic Partnership, I mean, we're in contact with Sheriff's Department all the time. I know Chad's tired of me. He's like sick of me every time I text him. But I mean, it's out here. There's nothing we can do. What we try to tell people is if you see it, just step away, right? We don't want citizens getting hurt, law enforcement getting hurt, ICE getting hurt, really anyone at this point. We know that it's not going to go away. We are just trying to get people to understand, like, hey, as of right now in this county, they've all been isolated incidents that we've seen.
Targeted.
And, yeah,
They're
targeted.
going after specific people.
Yep, they're going
Yes.
after specific people, criminals, and that's what we've been trying to tell the community as well. So,
And Natalie, just so you know, Chad is not upset about your text, and he encourages them, so.
yeah, keep going.
Say this, I appreciate the communication there, but like I tell Natalie every time, I could go on and on, but I'll make this short. ICE has never left Kankakee County. ICE has been here for 30 years that I've been here. They come in, they've been doing this for a long time. There's a guy in the White House that people just don't like, and that's why it's such a big, this is such a big
Topic of discussion.
topic of discussion. People don't like Trump. I mean, Obama had the most. Clinton was there. Bush was there. Trump is there. And the problem is, kind of like the Republicans have ran Congress, the Democrats have ran Congress, and nobody's touched immigration. So it's just it's a very sensitive. We're going to probably deal with this for 3 more years if they don't impeach him between the last 2 years. But we're going to deal with it. But ICE is not going to go away. They need it. Everybody forgets 9/11 all of a sudden. That's how they got into the country. We don't want another 9/11, and that's what they're out trying to stop. But it's just the community needs to focus on what's going on in Kankakee County. You know what I mean?
Correct.
We've got a lot of black on black crime that we'd like to NAACP to help us lower. We've got people on the streets who are drug addicts who are coming in to our jail. We have to kick them back to the same block that they just bought dope because the governor's not allowing them to get locked up to come in here and see Jasper Jones and his crew to get some help. mental health crisis. People are inside this jail that would want to work with them. The state is giving them money to be in here on grants, but they're kicking the people out that need the help. That's what we need to focus on here before we are out of control.
So Chad and I have some very candid conversation. So I just want to go back to what Nally just stated, and the sheriff, and you, Chad. The most common layperson would not really know why ICE is here. They're thinking that here's Theotis, and I'm a black immigrant, and I'm taking someone's job. They don't see that ICE is here. You have stated, and then Nally just said, you just want the response team to move away. They do not understand that they're here to remove criminals. And that is never, I think, a piece where, if you're talking about communication, we're here to remove criminals.
But we don't know.
But I'm just saying, but the individuals that Stevie or Alderman Jones, Mayor Hodge would advocate for, they're thinking that ICE is here, case in point. I know an individual here in Kankakee County that has a business, and you just stated that, mom and pop store, 25 years. And he's afraid that he's going to be deported, okay? But he might not be on that radar. He's raised his family, he's done this. And so what do everybody do? They run to Chicago, they get their attorney, all of that. They try to make sure their paperwork is in order. So the key word is communication. So how do we communicate that to the everyday public person, just citizens say, hey, your view, your definition, what you think of ICE is totally different because it's this.
Real quick, because I know people got to get back to work.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs Association brought in ICE, the director from Champaign. We brought him in and spoke to our organization because we wanted to know what was going on because we had no idea. And I'll tell you what the biggest problem is with ICE is communication. I think when they look back in their after action report and this whole entire thing, they're going to realize that their communication was very bad. And because the guy was telling me, like when they were up in here in Kankakee County, everybody, he read off the charges to me. It was arson, sexual assault, domestic batteries, DUI with injuries, and he was naming all this stuff. And I said, why don't you put that out in the press so the people know? So he got me in touch with the head PIO for the Trump administration in Texas, and I talked to her on the phone. And I said, why? The biggest problem you're having, and I don't care about the rest of the United States, but here in Kankakee County, if you're coming to pick people up, can you give us the charges so we'll put it on our Facebook because we've got a big following. So at least they know what these people are being picked up for. And then she said she was going to work with us on that, and I haven't heard back. So the fault of ICE is the communications. If you want to go out there and say you're arresting these people, prove it. Just throw it out there. Just throw out what you're arresting people, and I think that would calm the waters a lot better. But we have tried here in Kankakee County to make that happen. I just want to let that know.
Nally, I think you had a question.
So what you're speaking of, though, are two different topics. When you say mom and pop and they're scared, it's because a lot of people that came even, illegally, even though they might be here and have never committed a crime, if you've come into this country 2 times illegally and got caught, that's a felony. You can no longer apply for citizenship or residency. So, that's a real big problem for a lot of these families. Some of them have never committed a crime besides coming illegally, but there's no hope for them at this point. So they know at some point they're going to have to go back or will end up being picked up, even if it's by accident, right? Because that's how some of that happens. Is you're with, someone and they get picked up because they committed a crime, but I'm there, they run my name and they realize that I'm also undocumented, and then they will take me by default.
Collateral damage.
Yeah. So, we've been telling people, like, if you know that somebody is a criminal or has committed a crime, don't hang out with them, right? That's hard because a lot of times it's your family member. But that's what we've been trying to tell people, just try to stay away as much as you
So how you
can.
disseminate that information, Natalie?
We texting, I'm not gonna lie, we
Oh.
text, I mean, my phone goes crazy every day. We have WhatsApp, you know, and there's different groups. There's one for like the group that just came, it's called like Recién Llegados.
Well, how can we collaborate?
I mean, you can talk to some of us. So like Lorenia, there's a couple of us that work.
See,
like,
I just
real close.
talk with Marsha Medina majority of the time.
Yeah, it's usually like Lorenia, myself, her daughter. There's a couple of us that work real close. And I mean, we keep in contact with Chad and the sheriff and everyone else. So if anyone ever has any questions, or if you have a family and something's come up, I mean, I've worked with Jackie's office as well, with a couple families. So, I mean, that's
Great
what we're here
dialogue.
for, so.
Great. 119, motion for adjournment.
Make that one.
Second, moved by Chad, second by Lori Gadd. Boys, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. See you on the 25th. So.
Hey, Chief Barber? Yes, sir.
I can tell you this, shooting all Minneapolis is gonna be a fun. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. But you know what? So is the one in Springfield. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna indict the cop. They already moved Bovino out of Udon. Oh, yeah.
You think so?
I think it's a bad shot.
You think so? Hey, what are we gonna do with this?
I'm not even on the agenda.
Man, oh, you took the corner off.
Yeah, why did you take the corner off?
He's on next. Chad, good answer. So what you gonna talk about? I'm saying, you know, next month. I just knew immigration. I should have brought it. Yeah. Yeah, he just, so what you want to talk about, the fentanyl or what? Fentanyl? Okay, yeah. But you're Chad, man, that's the dialogue, man.
He's over a tiny all fucking fire.
Hey, I'm finna go to Tiny in a few minutes. And hey, look, meet me there at 4 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I know where the post at.